The sun rose over Fort Valor, a sprawling military academy nestled in the Rocky Hills of Colorado. Cadets in crisp uniforms jogged across the grounds, their boots crunching gravel. The air smelled of diesel and freshly cut grass. At the main gate, a silver spacecraft shaped like a teardrop hovered silently before touching down. Zerakil stepped out. Her scales, a deep emerald green, glinted in the sunlight. She wore a lightweight exoskeleton that hummed faintly, and her tail flicked nervously. Around her neck hung a rifle made of living metal, its surface pulsing like a heartbeat. The guard stiffened. Colonel James Whittaker, a broad-shouldered man with a permanent scowl, approached. His metals clinked as he stopped a few feet from the alien. "You're late," he barked. "Your species isn't known for punctuality." Zerakil tilted her head. Her voice, translated through a device on her wrist, was calm. "Apologies, Colonel. The Vril do not measure time as humans do. We prioritize accuracy over haste." Whittaker grunted. "Accuracy won't win wars. Follow me." As they walked, cadets paused to stare. Some whispered. Zerakil's clawed fingers brushed her rifle. She'd been warned humans were curious, but this felt like hostility. At the command building, Whittaker gestured to a young woman with a sharp gaze. "Cadet Elena Martinez will escort you. She'll answer your questions." He turned to leave but paused. "Try anything, and my men will shoot first." Elena stepped forward, her dark hair tied tightly. "Welcome to Fort Valor," she said, softer than the colonel but still guarded. "Your quarters are this way." They walked past barracks and training fields. Zerakil noticed cadets wrestling in the mud, shouting as they fought. Her scales rippled, a sign of unease. "Why do they harm each other?" Elena shrugged. "Builds toughness. You'll see worse." Zerakil stopped. "Your species glorifies pain. We glorify strength." Elena hesitated. "Your rifle. It's alive." "Yes, it senses intent. A Vril never disarms unless surrendering." Elena frowned. "You won't need it here. We're allies." Zerakil's eyes narrowed. "Allies do not threaten guests." Before Elena could reply, a jeep roared past, kicking up dust. Inside, a cadet with a buzz cut, Jake Thompson, yelled, "Hey, lizard, you lost." His friends laughed. Zerakil's tail lashed. Her rifle emitted a low hum. Elena grabbed her arm. "Ignore him. He's a bully, not a soldier." Zerakil studied her. "You disapprove." "Of course. But this is the military. Not everyone here is kind." Zerakil said nothing. The sun felt too hot on her scales. The air tasted wrong, metallic, charged with anger. She'd come to study human warfare, but already she wondered, what have I walked into? The training arena smelled of sweat and blood. Zerakil stood at the edge, watching cadets punch and kick each other under the watchful eye of a grizzled sergeant. One cadet, a young man named Kyle Bennett, gasped as his opponent drove a knee into his stomach. He collapsed, clutching his ribs. "Get up, Bennett," the sergeant roared. "Pain is weakness leaving the body." Zerakil's scales turned a sickly gray. She turned to Elena. "Why do they enjoy this? The pain, the humiliation, it serves no purpose." Elena crossed her arms. "It's not about enjoyment. It's about preparing them for real combat. Out there, hesitation means death." Zerakil's tail twitched. "On Vril, we train to avoid conflict. Strength is measured by how few enemies you make, not how many you break." Before Elena could reply, a voice sneered nearby. Jake Thompson leaned against a fence, smirking. "What's wrong, space lizard? Never seen a real man fight." His friends chuckled. Zerakil faced him. Her rifle pulsed faster. "You mistake violence for strength. Your kind glorifies destruction. Mine outgrew that millennia ago." Jake's grin faded. He stepped closer, fists clenched. "You calling us primitive?" Elena stepped between them. "Stand down, Thompson. You're out of line. Zerakil tilted her head, studying Jake. Your anger is familiar. Young males of many species posture like this, but humans seem to reward it. Jake spat at her feet. You don't belong here. Go back to your rock. Alina grabbed his arm. That's enough. The colonel will hear about this. Zerakil raised a clawed hand. No, let him speak. His hatred confirms what I suspected. Your training breeds not soldiers, but savages. Jake lunged, but Alina shoved him back. You're a disgrace, Thompson. Get out of here. As Jake stormed off, Zerakil turned to Alina. Why do you defend me? You agree with him. Alina sighed. I don't. But this is how things are. The military. It's not perfect. But we need people like you to what? Praise your barbarism. Zerakil's voice softened. You're different, Cadet Martinez. You see the truth, yet you stay silent. Alina looked away. Nearby, the sergeant blew a whistle, ending the exercise. Cadets limped away, some laughing, others wincing. Zerakil whispered, almost to herself, how many of you will die because you think pain makes you strong? The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the academy. Somewhere, a rifle fired. A sharp crack that made Zerakil flinch. She wondered, not for the first time, if coming here had been a mistake. The live fire range was chaos. Cadets charged through smoke, firing blanks at targets shaped like humanoid figures. Zerakil stood frozen as Alina handed her a standard-issue rifle. Take this. You'll need it for the exercise. Zerakil pushed the weapon away. I will not use your tools. Mine is sufficient. She tapped her organic rifle, its surface glowing faintly. Alina frowned. Suit yourself. Just keep up. A whistle blew. The cadets surged forward, shouting. Zerakil followed, her scales prickling. The air reeked of gunpowder. Around her, cadets roared phrases like, Die, rebel scum, and for liberty, as they fired. Zerakil's translator struggled with the frenzy. She watched a cadet kick a fallen target, screaming, Stay down, coward. Her stomach churned. This is practice. Jake Thompson jogged past her, grinning. Having fun yet, lizard? He fired a burst, hitting a target between the eyes. That's how you win wars. Zerakil's rifle hummed louder. She raised it, aiming at a target, but hesitated. Her weapon was designed to disable, not kill. The Vril hadn't used lethal force in centuries. A cadet nearby tripped. Another laughed. Get up, loser. The enemy won't wait. Zerakil's vision blurred. The noise, the anger, the mindless aggression. It was too much. Her rifle jerked, and a pulse of amber light shot out, striking a target's head. The dummy's head exploded in a puff of smoke. The exercise halted. Cadets stared. Colonel Whittaker stormed over, face red. What in God's name was that? You just killed a hostage. Zerakil blinked. Hostage. The target was marked as an enemy combatant. Whittaker snatched her rifle. This thing's broken. It's too dangerous. It reacted to your cadet's hostility, Zerakil said coldly. Your training teaches them to see everyone as a threat. No wonder your wars never end. Jake stepped forward. You ruined the drill, freak. Alina glared at him. Shut up, Thompson. You're the one acting like a child. Whittaker ignored them. If you can't follow protocol, you're done here. Understood. Zerakil's tail stiffened. Your protocol is broken. On Vril, we train to protect life, not destroy it. The colonel leaned in, his voice a growl. This isn't Vril. Here, weakness gets you killed. Now fix your weapon, or leave. Zerakil took her rifle back, her scales darkening. Around them, cadets muttered. Some glared. Others, like Alina, looked uneasy. As the drill resumed, Zerakil lingered at the edge, trembling. The sounds of gunfire echoed like thunder. She whispered to Alina, How do you sleep at night? knowing this is what you've become. Elena didn't answer. The lecture hall was cold and silent. Rows of cadets sat rigid, eyes forward. Professor Daniels, a wiry man with a scar across his cheek, clicked a projector to life. Grainy images of mushroom clouds filled the screen. "Nuclear weapons," he said, pacing the room. "The ultimate deterrent. In 45, we showed the world what humans are capable of. That's how you end wars." Zarakil shifted in her seat. Her scales itched under the fluorescent lights. Beside her, Elena scribbled notes. Daniels pointed to a map of the Middle East. "Shock and awe, ladies and gentlemen. Overwhelm the enemy, break their will to fight, burn their cities, crush their hope." A cadet raised his hand. "Sir, isn't that excessive?" Daniels smirked. "Excessive? Son, war isn't a debate club. You win by being relentless." Zarakil stood abruptly. Her chair screeched. "You call this strategy? You boast about annihilation." The room tensed. Daniels glared. "You have something to add, alien?" "On Vril, we resolved conflicts by sharing resources, by listening. Your species solves them by burning." The professor chuckled. "Your people must be soft. No wonder you're extinct." A ripple of gasps spread. Elena dropped her pen. Zarakil's tail coiled tight. "We are not extinct. We evolved. But you?" She gestured to the screen. "You cling to destruction like it's virtue." Daniels stepped closer, face red. "You think we like war. It's survival. The strong thrive. The weak." He let the sentence hang. "Survival." Zarakil's voice shook. "You confuse survival with domination. You train these children to become monsters." Jake Thompson snorted from the back row. "Maybe you're the monster. Ever think of that?" Elena stood suddenly. "That's enough. Both of you, sit down." The room fell silent. Daniels adjusted his tie, avoiding eye contact. Zarakil sat, her scales fading to a pale, sickly green. As the lecture resumed, Elena nudged her. "Why did you say that?" "Now, they'll never listen." Zarakil stared at her notes. "Would you rather I lied?" "Your professor celebrates horror. Your wars are not battles, they're tantrums." Elena opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Nearby, a cadet named Priya Rao watched Zarakil with quiet intensity, her brow furrowed. When the class ended, Zarakil lingered. She touched the screen, now dark. "How many billions died for your lessons?" she whispered. No one answered. The mess hall was lit with chandeliers, the tables set with white cloths and polished silverware. Cadets in dress uniforms chatted quietly, their laughter forced. Zarakil sat between Elena and Colonel Whittaker, her plate untouched. The smell of roasted meat made her scales bristle. A server placed a steak in front of her. Zarakil pushed it away. "I do not consume flesh." Whittaker grunted. "We were told you eat plants. This isn't a diner. You'll eat what's served." Elena intervened softly. "Sir, her species is vegetarian. It's a cultural thing." Jake Thompson, across the table, snorted. "What are you, some kind of space hippie? Afraid of a little protein?" His friend snickered. Zarakil leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "Your species slaughters creatures that think, feel, and sing just to fill your bellies. And you call me weak." The room fell silent. A cadet dropped a fork. Whittaker slammed his hand on the table. "Enough. You're here to learn, not preach." Elena whispered to Zarakil. "Just ignore him. Please." Zarakil ignored her. "On Vril, we honor all life. Even predators hunt only to survive. You hunt for sport. For fun." Jake smirked. "Maybe we're just better at being predators." "Or worse," said a quiet voice. Priya Rao, a cadet who rarely spoke, stared at her plate. "If killing for no reason is strong, what does that make us?" Whittaker shot her a glare. "Rao, you're out of line." Zerakil studied Priya. You understand. Why do you stay silent? Priya met her gaze. Voices like mine aren't welcome here. Alina shifted uncomfortably. Zerakil, this isn't the time. No, Zerakil said. This is the perfect time. You dress in fine clothes, pretend to be civilized, but your plates are stained with blood. Your wars are just bigger dinners. Jake stood, face red. You don't know anything about us. Sit down, Thompson. Whittaker barked. Zerakil stood too, towering over the table. Her rifle hummed faintly. I know enough. You build monuments to violence and call it honor. Your children playing with fire, and you'll burn the galaxy. The room held its breath. Then, slowly, Zerakil sat. She picked at a salad, her scales a stormy gray. As dessert was served, Elena whispered, You're making enemies. Enemies. Zerakil said, I'm just showing you the mirror. You're the ones who fear what you see. Outside, the stars twinkled coldly. Somewhere, a wolf howled, a sound that echoed Zerakil's unease. The moon hung low, casting long shadows over the barracks. Zerakil wandered the grounds, unable to sleep. The smell of diesel and sweat clung to the air. She heard muffled shouts near a storage shed and paused. Stop whining, Bennett, Jake's voice hissed. You're pathetic. Zerakil crept closer. 3 cadets surrounded Kyle, the young recruit from earlier. His uniform was torn, his face swollen. One cadet punched him in the gut. Kyle doubled over, gasping. Please, Kyle choked. I'm trying. Trying? You're a waste of oxygen. Jake kicked him in the ribs. No one will miss you when you're gone. Zerakil's scales flushed crimson. Her rifle hummed to life, glowing like a live coal. She stepped into the light. Step away. Now. The cadets froze. Jake sneered. Mind your own business. Lizard. This is my business. Zerakil raised her rifle, its barrel aimed at Jake's chest. You attack your own. Even our worst criminals get trials. Kyle coughed, blood on his lips. They said, I wasn't fit. Shut up, Bennett. Another cadet snapped. Zerakil's tail lashed. You call this strength? Beating the weak. You're not soldiers, you're cowards. Jake took a step forward. You don't scare me. Her rifle pulsed. A beam of amber light struck the ground at Jake's feet, melting the asphalt. He stumbled back, eyes wide. Next shot won't miss, Zerakil growled. The cadets fled, leaving Kyle crumpled on the ground. Zerakil knelt beside him. You need a medic. Kyle shook his head, tears mixing with blood. They'll kill me if I tell. Then I'll tell. She touched his shoulder, her scales cooling to a soothing blue. Your pain matters. On Vril, harming a comrade is the ultimate shame. Kyle stared at her. Why? Help me. Because no one else would. They heard footsteps. Elena rushed in, pistol drawn. What happened? I heard the blast. Zerakil stood. Your cadets were executing their own. Elena paled. Kyle. Who did this? Kyle wiped his face. Doesn't matter. They're right. I'm not cut out for this. Zerakil's voice softened. You think enduring abuse makes you strong. It makes you broken. Fight back, or leave. Elena helped Kyle up. We need to report this. Zerakil turned away. Report it. But know this. Your academy breeds monsters, and monsters cannot be trusted. As Elena led Kyle toward the infirmary, Zerakil stared at the melted asphalt. Her rifle dimmed. For the first time, she understood why the Vril avoided contact with humans. Some species were beyond saving. Colonel Whittaker's office smelled of leather and old cigars. Zerakil stood rigid, her rifle slung across her back. The colonel leaned against his desk, arms crossed. You crossed a line last night, he said, voice low. Melting the pavement, threatening cadets. This isn't a playground. Zerakil's scales darkened. Your cadets were torturing one of their own. You call that training? Whittaker's jaw tightened. Bennett needed to toughen up. This academy weeds out the weak. You'd understand that if you'd ever seen real combat. Combat. Zarakil stepped closer. On Vril, we ended war by refusing to fight. We share resources. Forgive enemies. You cultivate hatred. The colonel snorted. Idealism. That's why your species is a footnote in history. We chose peace. You cling to violence like a religion. Whittaker slammed his fist on the desk. Because the galaxy is brutal. You think the Vril survived by holding hands. Grow up. Zarakil's tail thrashed. You're wrong. We survived by changing. By valuing life over pride. Your cadets, children, are taught to become killers. To enjoy pain. Enough. Whittaker stepped forward, face red. You have no right to judge us. You waltz in here, preaching about peace, while your kind hides behind treaties and lies. What have you sacrificed? Nothing. The door creaked open. Elena stood in the doorway, pale. Sir, the morning drills. Not now, Martinez. Whittaker snapped. Zarakil turned to Elena. He's right. I sacrifice nothing. But you could. You see the truth. Why do you stay silent? Elena hesitated. I don't know. Whittaker glared at her. Get out. Both of you. And you. He pointed at Zarakil. One more incident and you're gone. Zarakil walked past Elena, her scales flickering. In the hallway, she stopped. You heard him, cadet. Sacrifice nothing, gain nothing. But if you stay, what will you become? Elena watched her leave, her hands trembling. Later, in the barracks, Kyle Bennett sat on his bunk, bruised but upright. Elena handed him a datapad. Read this. It's about the Vril. Kyle frowned. Why? Because you deserve better than what they're teaching you. Outside, Zarakil stared at the stars. She'd come to study humans. Now she wondered if her people had been wrong to trust them. The simulation room hummed with holographic projectors, casting a war-torn city in ghostly blue light. Cadets, armed with stun rifles, moved through the ruins. Zarakil watched from a catwalk, her claws gripping the railing. Scenario: urban occupation. A robotic voice announced. Enemy combatants may surrender. Use discretion. Belina, below, signaled her squad. Stay sharp. These hostiles don't play fair. Zarakil leaned forward. Discretion. Or another game. The exercise began. Holographic figures, civilians and soldiers, flickered to life. Cadets fired, shouting orders. Then, a group of enemies raised their hands, kneeling. Surrender, one cadet barked. Drop your weapons. The holograms complied. But instead of securing them, the cadets opened fire. Kill them all, Jake roared. No survivors. Zarakil's scales flared crimson. Stop. But the cadets kept shooting, laughing as the holograms dissolved. That's how you win. Jake yelled. Mercy gets you killed. Zarakil's rifle pulsed violently. A surge of energy shot from the barrel, striking the ceiling. Lights exploded. Smoke poured from the projectors. Alarms blared. Cadets coughed, stumbling in the haze. Zarakil dropped to her knees, clutching her head. The room echoed with screams, not from the simulation, but from her own memories. Zarakil, Elena shouted, rushing to her side. What's happening? Too much. Hatred. Zarakil gasped. Her rifle sparked, its light dimming. Your kind, you don't see life, only targets. Colonel Whittaker burst in, face purple. What the hell did you do? Zarakil looked up, her eyes glowing faintly. You trained them to slaughter the helpless, to laugh while doing it. This isn't war, it's madness. Priorel, her voice trembling, stepped forward. She's right, sir. We're supposed to protect people, not not execute them. Whittaker rounded on her. You too. Get out. All of you. Alina helped Zarakil stand. We need to get you to the med bay. Zarakil shook her head. No. I've seen enough. As they left, Jake spat at her feet. Weak, just like your loser friend Bennett. Zarakil stopped. Kyle Bennett stood up. You're just a shadow, Thompson. A shadow of something rotten. The room fell silent. Even Whittaker said nothing. Later in the barracks, Zarakil packed her belongings. Alina watched from the door. You're really leaving? Yes. My report will warn the Vril. Humanity is a sickness. Contact must end. Alina swallowed hard. I'm sorry. Zarakil paused. So am I. You could have been better. Outside, the stars shimmered coldly. Zarakil stepped into her ship, her tail flicking one last time. As the vessel rose, Alina whispered to herself, what have we become? Morning sunlight bathed the parade ground as cadets gathered for Zarakil's farewell. Colonel Whittaker stood rigid, arms behind his back. Zarakil faced the crowd, her scales dull and gray. I came to learn about human strength, she began, her voice echoing. Instead, I found sickness. You train children to hate, to kill, to laugh at suffering. You call this honor? Murmurs spread. Jake Thompson crossed his arms, scowling. Your wars are not noble. They're tantrums, loud, wasteful, and endless. You punish weakness, reward cruelty, and call it duty. She held up a small data crystal. This holds my report. Your lies about humanity's greatness are here. Let it remind you. The galaxy sees you as a threat. Whittaker stepped forward. Enough. Hand it over. Zarakil dropped the crystal at her feet. I leave it to you. Burn it. But the truth remains. As she turned to leave, Alina darted forward, snatching the crystal. Whittaker shouted, Martinez, stand down. Alina pocketed the crystal. No, sir. Some truths need to be heard. Zarakil paused, meeting her eyes. You surprise me, cadet. Perhaps there's hope. Whittaker lunged, grabbing Alina's arm. Give it to me. Let her go, Prioreo said sharply, stepping between them. Kyle Bennett, still bruised, stood beside her. Or explain to the Senate why cadets are covering up war crimes. Whittaker froze. His face twisted with rage, but he released Alina. This isn't over. Zarakil climbed into her ship, the hatch ceiling behind her. As it lifted off, she whispered to herself, Farewell, Alina Martinez. Change what you can. Back in his office, Whittaker burned the data crystal in a metal bin. A waste of time, he muttered. But that night, Alina copied the file onto a hidden drive. She met Priya and Kyle in an empty barracks. We need to share this, she said, quietly. Kyle nodded. Zarakil risked her life for us. We can't let her down. Priya smiled faintly. Then let's start a new kind of training. Outside, the stars gleamed coldly. Zarakil's ship vanished into the darkness, carrying her verdict to the stars. Humanity is not ready. Zarakil's ship drifted among the stars, its engines silent. She sat in the dim cockpit, replaying her final words to Fort Valor. Your strength is a sickness. Her claws tapped the control panel as she transmitted her report to the Vril High Command. Aioli. Humanity, ACCS cement. Siuliamet ARI. Aggressive. Unrepentant. Recommend immediate quarantine. Far below, on Earth, Alina Martinez sat in the library's darkest corner. The stolen data crystal glowed on the table. Prioreo and Kyle Bennett leaned close as she played Zarakil's recordings. They train children to become murderers. Zarakil's voice echoed. Your species is a contagion. Kyle rubbed his still bruised ribs. She's right. But what can we do? Priya frowned. Start small. Share this with cadets we trust. Build a new system, one that doesn't glorify pain. Alina nodded. Zerakil wanted to see good in us. We can't let her down. Unbeknownst to them, Colonel Whittaker watched from the shadows. He traced the data leak but said nothing. For now. On the Vril homeworld, a council of elders reviewed Zerakil's files. Their leader, Elder Voss, sighed. Humanity's violence mirrors our past, but they refuse to evolve. Another elder spoke. Zerakil's report is clear. Contact risks corruption. We must isolate them. Voss stared at a hologram of Earth. Isolation won't last forever, but for now, we agree. Back at Fort Valor, Elena pinned a note to the Academy bulletin board. Meet tonight. Bring open minds. By midnight, a dozen cadets gathered in the woods. Elena shared the crystal's data. Some gasped. Others wept. They're right, a cadet whispered. We're taught to be monsters. Kyle stood. Then let's be something else. As the group talked, Zerakil's ship passed Pluto's orbit. She gazed at Earth one last time. Her scales brightened faintly. Perhaps in time, humanity would surprise her.